to repeal the Public-Private Partnership Act. It's an act of 2013 for the connected purposes. Also lined up for debate is the County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2018. It is a bill by the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Matters Administration and National Security. The Social Assistance Bill, it is a repeal bill, National Assembly Bill number 16 of 2020, is also lined up for debate. Pursuant to Standing Orders number 42A, subsection 5, Members of Parliament will be fielding questions for reply before various departmental committees. The first question is by Honorable Member for Nakuru Town, Honorable David Gikaria, to the Cabinet Secretary, Matters Housing and Infrastructure, to explain the measures taken by the ministry to ensure that the amount of the funds that are allocated to compensate residents affected by the rehabilitation of roads in the Nakuru-Nairobi highway has been undertaken. You can view this broadcast live on our YouTube channel, that is courtesy of the Parliament of Kenya, as well as on KBC Channel 1.
Parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. We beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you've been pleased to call to a performance of important trust in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Does the member want to remain standing? And or repeal any legislation. In this regard, honourable members, I wish to report to the House that my office has received a petition from one Kevin Doho Macharia, who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, calling for implementation of various interventions aimed at streamlining access to justice during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Honourable members, the petitioner states that the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and other administrative bottlenecks are stifling the proper administration of justice, occasioning tremendous difficulty in obtaining mention or hearing dates before courts, delays in obtaining outcomes on certificates of urgency applications, failure to cost list matters having mention or hearing of court dates on a cost list once dates are issued, and to provide for a time limit of 4 hours for determination of applications filed under the certificates of agency. 2, amendment to the National Council for Law Reporting Act to re-engineer the mission of the Kenya law. And 3, the enactment of the Court Reporters Act to secure provision of trained and certified court reporters to instill professionalism in management of typing and recording of court proceedings. Honourable members, having determined that the matters raised in the petitioning is well within the authority of this House, and pursuant to the provision standing under 227, subsection 1, The petition stands committed to the Departmental Committee of Justice and Legal Affairs. The committee is required to consider the petition and report its findings to the House and to the petitioner in accordance with provisions of Standing Order 227, subsection 2. Thank you. How is it? I've given you a chance to speak. No, don't press anything.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it was my humble request, because it's been a tradition. At times you allow us to ventilate. And I was just keen about the petition that you've just read, Mr. Speaker. Actually, it's been a concern by many advocates outside there, and some had already approached me over the same, but I really want to thank you because you've mentioned it, and at a time like this, Mr. Speaker, of the pandemic, the justice delivery has actually really been affected. And we just wanted to support how it has affected. And Mr. Speaker, if possible, the Chief Justice, wherever he is, they move with speed for purposes of automation, because actually people are suffering, Mr. Speaker. In my constituency, for instance, we have issues of land which have been pending in court. The excuse is about the issue of pandemic support.
All these interventions, is it about the comments? Because is it about this?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, that petition, as you've determined it, being rightful before the House, is a very we are faced in a new circumstances. Even when you look at our standing orders on how do we contribute to the proceedings in the House, like now, the other time we were voting, where somebody is even voting from a distance, whether you should be voting within, and that is not even provided within our standing orders. So I think this is a new area that our Justice and Legal Affairs Committee should be able to look at, how do Kenyans get to access justice, because justice delayed is justice denied. So I think, Honorable Speaker, this is a very timely petition before the House, and it will be good for the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee to move with speed so that this can be addressed.
Member for Kisumu West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I urge members of the Council of the LSK to take their work seriously and deal with issues that members need to be attended to. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The member for Aldai, is it about this petition? Is it about this petition? No. Member for Laikipia North, is it about this petition? Member for Marakwet East, is it about this petition? Very well. Is it Honorable Jagagwa? Yes. You don't seem to have a card. How is it not?
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to have a say on this one and wish to support that petition.
5 papers.
Leader majority.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House. Today, Tuesday, the June 29th, 2021, in the afternoon sitting. A, the report of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect to the Kenya Ports Authority for the financial year ended 30th of June 2019, and the certificate therein. Number B, the reports of the Auditor General and financial statements.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, June 29th, 2021, afternoon sitting. Honorable Speaker, the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on its consideration of Supplementary Appropriations Bill number 2, National Assembly number 33 of 2021. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Next.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Honourable members, move to the first segment, which is on questions. First question by the member for Nakuru Town East, Honourable Gikaria. Member not ready? Not ready. Yeah, I could see you are struggling to do something. Let's move to the next member for Belgut, Honorable Koech. Member for Belgut. Next, member for Malava, Honorable Ijendi.
Players who are in the national team and their dependents. Two, could the cabinet secretary state the assistance the government has extended to Mr. Patrick Matasi or his dependent who plays for the national team, Harambee Stars, following a road accident which occurred on 11th of May 2021. Thank you, Speaker.
Question will be replied to before the Committee on Sports, Culture and Tourism. Next question by the member for Bomet Central, Honorable Tonui. Member for Bomet Central, the Honorable Ronald Tonui. For the second time, member for Nakuru Town East.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for your indulgence. Honourable Speaker, I rise to ask question number.
For the second time, member for Belgut, the Honorable Nelson Koech. For the second time, member for Belgut constituency, otherwise known as Very Good. Member for Belgut. Member being absent, question is dropped. For the second time, a question by the member for Bomet Central, Honorable Ronald Tonui. For the second time, question by the member for Bomet Central, Honorable Ronald Tonui. Member being absent, not desired to be present, question is dropped. Move to the next segment. Requests for statements. First request is by the member for Wajir East, Honorable Rashid Kasim.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And before I commence with my statement today, I want to thank you very much, despite your busy schedule and busy calendar, a petition for pardon of Mr. Hassan Abdi Ali under the power of mercy. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 442C, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson's Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs regarding petitions for pardon of Mr. Hassan Abdi Ali, identification number 2222, to pardon any convicted person by granting a free or conditional pardon or substituting a lesser severe form of punishment. Any person may petition the President through the Advisory Committee on Powers of Mercy, seeking for pardon of a convicted person on various grounds as stipulated in the Power of Mercy Act 2011. A petition on behalf of Mr. Hassan Gedi Abdi Ali, identification number 2253436, submission A statement from the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on the following. 1. Could the Chairperson provide the Committee on Powers of Mercy for purpose of granting pardon as provided for in Article 133 of the Constitution and Powers of Mercy Act 2011. 3. Could the Chairperson provide information regarding a petition lodged in August 2016 on behalf of Mr. Hassan Gedi Abdi Ali, identification number 22534307 as provided for in Article 133 of the Constitution. 4. Could the Chairperson also explain the challenges the Advisory Committee on the Powers of Mercy is facing in executing its mandate, including updating the House through the submission of the annual performance report as provided for in Section 29 of the Act. Honorable Speaker, I, Hon Rashid Amin, MP, Wajir East Constituency. Thank you very much, sir.
The Chairperson. This is the Chairperson of JLAC. Honorable Amin, since both the Chairman and the Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable, dated 15th June 2021, suspended indefinitely the registration of schools, citing a number of reasons. Among them, that the Ministerial Committee on Registration of Schools does not conduct verification of the data provided. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Education and Research on the following. 1. Could the Chairperson explain is expected to be lifted? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mutua, Florence, how long do you think you're going to take to provide the statement?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, that matter is very urgent because I've gotten very many requests from other members informally. So I want to assure the member that in 1 week we can be able to deliver the response. Thank you.
Honorable Malulu Jedi, are you comfortable with the commitment from the Chair?
Did she say 1 week or, 1 week, it's okay.
Works and housing regarding failure by the Kenya Railways Corporation to engage casual labor in the rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Kisumu-Butere railway line, especially on the Kisumu-Lela section. Honorable Speaker, in the ongoing rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Kenya Railways network, the corporation has been engaging the services of the National Youth Service to complement other professionals in undertaking casual and unskilled services. The cadre of unskilled labor is secured, recruited from the local areas around where the rehabilitation and reconstruction is being undertaken. This has worked very well in most areas of the country. However, since the corporation commenced works on the Kisumu-Butere railway line, the corporation has been using unskilled labor recruited from as far away as Nakuru, while ignoring locals, especially in the Kisumu-Lela section of the line. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing, to address the following issues. 1, could the Chairman provide a detailed account of the total number of unskilled and semi-skilled workers engaged on the Kisumu-Lela section of and the breakdown of the same from county to county, sub-county to sub-county? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kosing.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Meru County, Bishop Kawira Mwangaza.
Thank you. On 28th June 2021, a handful of staff and some nominated members of County Assembly of Meru organized and participated in an illegal demonstration fully funded by the county government of Meru against the character of my person on alleged protest that I was abusive to the governor of Meru, Kiraito Moronge, and derail my political ambitions. It is sad that the full support and knowledge of security officers in the Legion who are instead supposed to enforce such protocols. Many people were injured in the melee and others exposed in the risk of contracting COVID-19. Besides disrupting transport, business activities among the residents of Meru County. Honorable, investigate and apprehend persons, including county government employees of Meru, found capable of organizing such dangerous demonstrations that are likely to put Meru County on the brink of election campaigns-related violence. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to urge all my supporters to maintain peace.
Like keep an order of praise and intervention. Honorable Sarah Korere.
Character assassination. And Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk because
no, it's not about that one.
In single-member constituencies and
so let me just follow the way they are because I can see the one who is next is already standing even before. How did he know he is the next one? Honorable Sanko, how did you know you are the next one?
Honorable Speaker, I'm nominee 001, so I'm always number one in this house. And again,
now, Honorable Pukosa, you are the next.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on 2nd May 2019, my bill on Kenya Food and Drugs Authority was committed to the Committee on Health. And you've given on several occasions the direction that this bill needs to be debated in the House. So, Honorable Speaker, I'm asking for your direction because it is taken very long. This is 2021. We are talking now of almost 2 years when a bill is to deal with even pharmacovigilance, approval of even drugs within the country, approval of vaccines, what is happening within our country. And I think as we stand today, a lot of our health is at risk because authority which is operating. In Rwanda, the
committee on 2nd, you said 2nd of May 2019. And if indeed it wasn't for the special resolution, the Honorable Dr. Nyikal.
Thank you, Chair. That bill sure came before the committee once, and there was a lot of interest, including agriculture, veterinary medicine, but particularly the Minister of Health, and they expressed that they would want with the chair and the vice chair. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, of course, the committee is pleased. I have instructed that on Thursday this week, I want to get a report. It will be done publicly here. Let the country know which committees are sitting.
On a matter like this, agriculture should be given an opportunity to look into this matter, to table a report, like many other jurisdictions, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
No, nobody stops any committee from also, I mean, even the Committee of Agriculture. The bill is out there for anybody to make whatever input they may think they have. Honorable Nyamai, as the immediate former chair.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to say that
or pass a bill, it does not lie with an individual, it does not lie with a committee. In the year 2018, Honorable Speaker, I did birth a bill here that was targeting indigents being unilaterally held at various health facilities made into detention camps. And that bill was to address this issue of having people languish in health facilities for a long time just because of failure to pay. Up to now, Honorable Speaker, it is 3 years, and I do not know where my bill is. I remember the Budget Committee did ask me to appear before them, which I did. I presented my case, and I want to believe they were conveyed to present bills in this House, and I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
See, Honourable members, it was in that because of those concerns that earlier on, when House Business Committee, we did indicate that, no, we need to get a feedback so that every member who has made legislative proposals that Honourable Bukosi has come up with, and in fact, many others. And I know this week we have prioritized some private members' bills also. So maybe
Mochache and PS Boga, Professor Boga, we try to tell government, bring your amendments to this bill. Mr. Speaker, even the Committee of Health, without imputing it, the bill comes here, and government, just like the way they used to do in the previous time, they will bring the amendments through the leader of majority. They can bring the amendments through the chair. But I think that bill, Mr. Speaker, Drug and Food Authority bill is important, and it should come. You should give that direction, Mr. Speaker. It's 2 years. And I think when members really contribute, Wednesday morning, from 10 o'clock. So I think from this week, when we start private members, you see more members speaking on the floor of the House.
very well. So then in that case, the Departmental Committee on Health. Departmental Committee on Health. Honorable Nyikal, maybe I think it's only fair that actually Thursday this week, which is the day we have not able to, please give us an update, specific update on what you have done on that bill on Thursday afternoon.
But two of the bills that I've sponsored, Mr. Speaker, when I follow, the committees other than the child do a lot of good work here, Mr. Speaker. And it's a tragedy that we are going to next year, and many of the bills that have even been passed by the Budget Committee, they just fizzle out after the Budget Committee. And sometimes members complain against the Budget Committee when it is actually not the Budget Committee. So maybe we can find a different tracking system to help us trace exactly where it is. And sometimes it may be the department, or I don't know what other process once it leaves the department. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I think that one the clerk will find out to give a report. Honorable Leshomo.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, nilikuwa nataka
mwingine kuchangia.
Mheshimiwa Spika,
unataka kumsaidia?
Unajua Mheshimiwa Spika, kile kitu ameongea nayo ni zile tumepitia sote. Sasa ningeomba tu kusema wamama wapewe na security ya kutosha, na nataka kuambia mwenzangu ajaribu juu chini, kwa sababu hiyo pia ni ya kupatia credit. Hiyo si mambo ya kuregea, ni kuendelea. Sisi wote tumepitia hivyo, na ndio maana tuko kwa hii nyumba. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Basi tieni bidii. Now, honourable members, now I want us to go to business. Let's go to business. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, reduction of publication period of a specified bill.
Chairman, budget.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, days. Actually, we are 1 day to the end of the financial year. And if this one is not concluded, Honorable Speaker, we will run maybe into a crisis, Honorable Speaker. And as had earlier...
On here. Between Speaker. Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I beg to second the reduction in publication period from the 7 days to 2 days to reconsider this. Now, honorable members, as I second, I also want to confirm to you members that in pursuant to the discussions we've been having with the Treasury has been released from Treasury now to the board. And now the difference is between now the movement of the money between Treasury account and CDF account, 5.714 billion, which is disbursement issue. But the good thing is for a long time, we've never had closing the year with the full amount paid. Members will be aware, last year, there was 13.7 billion that had not been disbursed at the end of the year, which we brought into through the supplementary. That money has now been disbursed, so we have the 41.7 billion for the year 2020-2021, the 13.7 that was owed in respect of last year, and there is now some amount that pertains to arrears of 2013, 2014, 2015, which the committee, our CDF committee, needs to resolve with the auditors. And then we will see how we factor that within the forthcoming, the first supplementary, because it's too late to actually do it in the absence of some tangible audit, because some of those figures, the reason they were not paid those days is because there were some issues. But you would expect, because of the board having paid, I think some 2-point-something billion from this year in respect of those arrears, members would expect that you would actually not receive the 137. But it's something we are working on, and at the earliest opportunity, we will ensure that is also, whatever is agreeable by the auditors is then ratified through the first opportunity and disbursed. So I believe I'm happy with the Treasury has done their commitment, and the rest is now for our that information so that we also need to clear, hopefully, within this week. With those remarks, I beg to second.
Let me propose the question, which is that notwithstanding the provision of starting under 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the Supplementary Appropriations Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 33 of 2021, from 7 days to 2 days. The ayes have it. Can we get the next order before we go to that intervention?
Order number 9, the Supplementary Appropriation Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 33 of 2021. First reading. A bill for an act of parliament to authorize the issue of certain sums of money out of the consolidated fund and the application towards the service of the year ending.
I wanted to follow up with what the Honorable Leader of Majority said about CDF. I would like to get assurance whether, one, all the money that we expect to come into our account for the financial year.
1.4 billion.
Just a confirmation whether that is all the money.
So you want how do you want
because
it
to? He said that the money will not hit our account. The financial year is coming to an end.
So how does it hit your account now when you're here?
No.
How do you want him to
He needs
confirm?
to give us information when we'll have it.
Is he in the central bank to now say it is now hitting?
He is the leader of government business
No,
here.
it doesn't matter. He is not in the central bank to say now it is hitting or it is falling off. Honorable one by
Mr. Speaker, the financial year is coming to an end tomorrow.
Maybe the Honorable Kimunya, maybe the other Serem. You are also in that category of those doubting Thomases. Honorable Serem.
Thank you, Chairman. 5.7 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. It is good for all of us to know that what the leader of majority is telling us is our...
Believe anything. You want people to believe your own. Honestly, it's not going to transact through all these mouths, including yours. Please. Honorable Sarem, let us hear for the second time.
Yes.
From the leader of the majority party, the Honorable Amos Kimunya. so that it is on record.
If members could stop consulting so I don't have to repeat.
Now, the member for Nairobi, please. The member for Nairobi, when you are walking in, you don't start throwing other things. You are now throwing things all over. And we just say that, please, let's listen so that then everybody, can hear.
Yeah. Now, for the benefit of those who are not listening to what I said, as of 8 minutes past 2 o'clock this afternoon, I received confirmation from the CS for Treasury.
I think we must be people. See, I'm sure many of you go to places of worship. Very well, let's move to the next order now.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Supplementary Appropriations Bill number 2 of the National Assembly, that is number 33 of 2021, be read a second time. Honorable Speaker, I want to assure this House that I will be extremely brief. The committee's report on the Supplementary Appropriations Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2021. Honorable Speaker, through the Committee of Supply, the House, by a resolution passed on Thursday, 24th June 2021, approved the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the second supplementary estimates for the financial year 2020-2021. Honorable Speaker, in reviewing the bill, the committee held one meeting where extensive deliberations were held. And Honorable Speaker, I will try as much as possible to be brief because these are matters that we had actually addressed last week. Honorable Speaker, budget, due to the frequency of the supplementary budget, the level of adjustments and lack of consultation, proper consultations. As a result, the budget may not achieve its intended purpose. Honorable Speaker, the third one, the committee observed that the submission of the second supplementary is too close to that Treasury, the latest date that they can submit the supplementary budget would be 30th of June. The report approved a decrease to the recurrent expenditure by Kenya shillings 60. The other issue is on low A in A, the appropriations in aid collection, the salary adjustments, and the changes in development partner financing projects. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the budget also seeks to regularize approved additional expenditure and reallocations already. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the committee recommends that this House resolve to one resource for the financial year 2020-2021. Honorable Speaker, the CS, National Treasurer, was here making his remarks on the revenue-raising measures and the budget highlights. And he was very categorical that the ministries have been directed to pay all pending bills by tomorrow. He also directed the county governments to also pay the pending bills by tomorrow. Honorable Speaker, we have not seen this one coming. As Honorable Speaker, every Monday, if you look at the newspaper, most of the newspaper, Honorable Speaker, some few cases, like in the Ministry of Health, there are quite a lot of pending bills. If you go, yeah, Honorable Speaker, if you go also to energy, Ketraco, many pending bills. If you go to NYS, despite the history of NYS, there are so many genuine people who did business with government, genuine business, but they have not been paid. So, Honorable Speaker, this is something that we need to keep on pushing. Honorable Speaker, with those many few...
First, I want to start by saying that the supplementary budget 2 at 1.3 has become the tradition, something that used to be unheard of up to, I think, last parliament. Mr. Speaker, it is a clear indication of lack of proper planning at the Treasury. And the Treasury being the ministry or the department that was rated #1 in terms of performance should demonstrate it by example and planning properly multiple supplementary budgets, because clearly it is a case of lack of proper planning. Mr. Speaker, the supplementary budget was actually prepared with the objective of with two advantage of miseries of this, the citizens of this country should now be laughing in the next 1 month, because everyone should get vaccinated Those who should be vaccinated should get vaccinated because the finances have been provided. World Bank is adding more, Mr. Speaker. So much as we hail ministries, departments, and state agencies settle the pending bills, which has become a thorn in the flesh of Kenyans, that is lacking in this supplementary budget. And it continues to lack in all budgets that are prepared and presented to this House. Until when, Mr. Speaker, will we be talking about pending bills without action? So action needs to be taken. In fact, a policy is already in place. The Public Finance Management Act has not been amended, which clearly stipulates that pending bills become the first charge. Wherever any ministry, any department, any state agency, any county government receives money from wherever, national government or own source revenue, the first settlement should be the pending bills. In fact, I don't even understand this argument where state ministries are still saying that they have not been provided with money to settle pending bills, yet they have a budget. They should first settle the pending bills and legal pending. This is the route to make money and make it quickly. You will not clear the pending bills in this country. And that our agencies that are dealing with matters of economic crime need to look at the issue of pending bills in all ministries, all departments and agencies, and find out paid, even from the legislature, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, this is an issue that needs to be addressed. Mr. Speaker, because with the 1 day left, fight, and it is very untidy coming from the executive. Executive must speak with one voice, Mr. Speaker. It is one executive, chaired by the President, Mr. Speaker, chairing the cabinet. Why is it that the minister is, the CS Treasury is saying this, and the ministry is saying something different? So, Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I second.
Estimate 2 of 2021. Mr. Speaker, let me go on record, including the Honorable Amos Kimunya, who was a Minister for Finance in the 10th Parliament, and Honorable Bandi will agree with me. I have went through, and there's no Minister of Finance. This is where this kind of supplementary creates a loophole for misappropriation of funds by technocrats who work in government. And if you listen to and you read all the supplementary estimates that come at the tail end of the financial year, that is when it comes to sanitize. But, Mr. Speaker, let me say two things. Number one, I have seen 7.6 billion allocated for the purchase of vaccines, COVID vaccines. And, Mr. Speaker, that translates into the price of, I think, $10 per vaccine. And that gives us about roughly close to about 10 million Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, we want to see that money buying vaccines, and we want to see 10 million Kenyans getting the job. Speaker, we don't want a monkey business. The World Bank has given today 14 billion hustler economic model. Yes, we want to go and sell our policies. We want to go and sell the bottom-up economic model. This idea of keeping us, and Mr. Speaker, if you check the world over, today in Washington, people are not wearing masks because they have vaccinated their people. China has vaccinated 1 billion. Secondly, and most important, Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance stood on the floor of this House. He went on record that by the end, owed by government on behalf of the people of Kenya. This government is ready and has committed to pay the debt it owes Chinese. It pays the debt it owes the World Bank and all multilateral. A debt is a debt. A pending bill is a debt. This government must pay the money that belongs to Kenyan citizens, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, our economy can only... What about the mamas who are in Gikomba? What about the Kenyans who are supplying computers? They borrow, and today, Mr. Speaker, if you look at, as Muslims, we don't publicize funerals. You die, in the next 2 hours, you are sent to go and live with your God. and you argue your case. But you know today, if you look at the auctioneers, the numbers of Kenyans who die of COVID have increased. You see the pages that Kenyans pay for, which is the small, medium enterprises, the people who own between 10 million to 200 million and do business. Those are the people, 70% of the pending bills are owed by this government. Mr. Speaker, I beg to support and ask that going forward, this House should not be used as a rubber stamp. Should not be used. Because bringing a supplementary estimate at the tail end, 2 days. I hope today we finish. The whole night, the legal department and the clerk's office will do the vellums. Maybe the president will sign tomorrow. He has no choice, 30th. So if the president signs tomorrow, of course, you know, the minister will have 15 days until 15th of July. He can. But I think he can do better. It's good to receive supplementary estimates too around April. Most ministers, the current president was a minister for finance, Honorable Kimunya, Rotich, name them, Muiraria, you read. You can get it from the National Treasury website. Let us not allow supplementary estimates to be passed at the last day of the end of that current financial year. I support.
Member for Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to support the supplementary appropriation bill. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, the intention of the supplementary bill is to pay for bills or to pay for expenditure that has already been incurred against the tenets of public finance management. Honorable Speaker, many of the cuts under supplementary 1 and supplementary 2 was certainly on the argument that there has been low absorption of funds committed to this particular MDS and SAGAs. But Honorable Speaker, in this economy, Honorable Speaker, the government is the biggest spender in most third world countries. When the government does not spend, there is no money in the economy. The economy continuously to contract because if there isn't spend, there's no purchasing power, and yet, Honorable Speaker, many of us have been demanding payment, some dating back to previous financial years, some dating back to the first term of devolution. Honorable Speaker, the situation is becoming dire outside there. As much as we might be talking about, and we want to urge the Budget Appropriation Committee to literally come hard on the National Treasury. And Article 225, they should urge the National Treasury to stop payment or disbursement to any particular SAGA or MDA that has refused to pay small-scale suppliers and small-scale dealers. Honorable Speaker, it would seem the pending bill is actually becoming a very lucrative business. The lobbyists, all of us all over, who go and lobby for pay, for a bribe, for kickback, to have pending bills prioritized in various sagas. People are unable to work. People are unable to do anything. You close open-air markets where ordinary traders go to exchange goods. You have killed that particular locality. Honorable Speaker, you close social places which have been the major employers of low-skilled and semi-skilled workers. You have killed that particular family and household. Honorable Speaker, the many cases of children who have dropped out of school because the parents cannot afford to pay, because their jobs have been killed, is something the government cannot remain oblivious to the suffering of the people of Kenya. That's why it is important that the 7.6 billion and the 14 billion that has been granted by World Bank should urgently go into the purchase of vaccine so that all Kenyans, wherever they are, they can get vaccinated so that we open up our economy, despite the fact that we have corona. We are going to have COVID-19 with us for many years to come, and it is important, Honorable Speaker, we learn to live with it. And the only way we're going to learn to live with it, as the medics have advised, is to get as many people as possible to be vaccinated. It should be an act of an emergency, actually to have everybody vaccinated. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support and hope the government will learn to do their things in a more organized and sober manner. Thank you.
Honorable Raso.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just wish to add my voice to this supplementary too. I think listening to the chairman budget and also a member of that committee, I think they are clearly telling us this supplementary is out of place. But at the same time, they are telling us, let us support it. I think we cannot be speaking from both sides of it. I want to say that we as legislators, we must work for our country. We must work for our people. We must do the right thing. When the executives cross the red line, this House has the legislative mandate to tell the executives no. Mr. Speaker, the purpose of a supplementary, really, it is in the realm of emergency, something that can really. Secondly, the issue of a supplementary, it adulterates the budget process. It is an easy means of the executive getting hard cash. Because as far as Article 223 is concerned, this is money that has already been spent. Who has spent it? So why ask us? Because clearly also it is said that you bring the supplementary as soon as the House comes into session, 10 days. But we are finishing the session. Now we are getting a supplementary. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to be the odd one out. I support it.
Honorable Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill for two reasons. One, which seems like it's going to work, and one, which people over 60 are dying. And what we are getting reports are reports of the lab, the few who have been admitted and tested. The large number are dying. And what now you're getting in the countryside, an old man had malaria and pneumonia. This time, if you hear malaria and pneumonia in an old man, that is COVID. Because there is what is called case definition. In a pandemic or an epidemic, you cannot use the lab to make all the diagnosis because the numbers are too large. So you get a clear case definition. When you see this and this and this, we take that as the case, and that is what we use. If we used that, Mr. Speaker, the situation is dire. We are the mask. How hard is it for people outside? So the only solution we have for COVID is vaccine, and for that reason, I'm supporting this. That is why when we do economic stimulus, we put a lot of money out. Now, if people have spent their money, borrowed money from banks, and they are not being paid, what are we doing? And I'm sad to note that although this bill addresses it, but we are not sure the money is there. That is something we must do. Kenyans can't die from two things consecutive. Must be wrong. The implementation of the budget process or the preparation of the budget process. There can be no Article 223 because a lot of the money has been spent. But when we do that, if we do a decrease, it actually says when the money that was budgeted is not sufficient or a need has arisen. In this supplementary, the only need that really has arisen is basically COVID. So that is the thing we should have actually doing this for. So again, I'll ask the budget committee that before these things come to us, they must really clearly make sure that it adheres to Article 223. A need has arisen, and they should give us in details. You know, we all don't read, and you know there's a debate as to whether we can be able to read or whether we should be able to read. I think there is a need of this now. So that they tell us clearly, a need has arisen. What is this need that has arisen? 2, the money that was provided was not sufficient. Which project is it that the money was not sufficient for? so that we don't just go quickly over it and pass it. And Mr. Speaker, there is also a time limit. It must be within 2 months. That is what 223 says. And most of us should. So if those are not there, again, we should not.
Mr. Speaker, like it has been raised by most members, all inclusive, to address all those emerging issues, like this issue of Article 223, which into this budgetary process, so that we don't be seen like we're blaming a government that is outside. We are part of that government, because in this constitution, all those proposals that are made by Treasury, we are free to propose amendments. We are free to support where we think it is necessary. We are free to even advise the national government, I mean the executive government, on ways and means they can improve on their budgetary process. And that, Mr. Speaker, on this issue of pending bills, which we realize it is of grave concern, there are many Kenyans who are languishing in poverty because they have supplied government, and the MDAs or the ministries, the sagas, are not in a position to clear the pending bills. Like it has been said by our chair, Honorable Kanini, we've seen print media printing 4 pages, auctioning Kenyans. We've seen even media houses hosting parties for auctioneers because they're giving them business. When you sagas and MDAs, where they have huge pending bills. We saw the case of a National Youth Service, which I know history, there were issues to do with corruption, which I think we should try to sit and see what we can do. And having said that, I support.
Hold their horses so that, considering that the period between now and tomorrow for this bill to be signed is actually very limited, and for us to allow regularization of the process. So understanding order 95, I call that the mover be called to reply. Yes.
Very well. Never mind. The member for Kandui, members were looking for him earlier on. And, I think it's convenient. The Honorable Sunkuya and the Honorable Leshomo. National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2021 be now read a second time. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. As many as contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next one.
Appeal for an act of parliament to authorize the issue of certain sums of money out of the consolidated fund and the application towards the service of the year ending on 30th June 2021, and to appropriate those sums for certain public services and purposes.
Next order.
Order number 11, Committee of the Whole House.
We shall start with the Supplementary Appropriations Bill number 2, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2021.
Clause 3, Clause 4, and Clause 5.
Honorable members, I propose the question that oh, so that we don't come back to yes. So you only consider.
Let's go to the House.
Yes. We have an amendment by the chairperson. First schedule.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I beg to move that the bill be amended by deleting clause 2 and substituting therefore with the following new clauses. Honorable Chair, that the Treasury may issue a sum of 20 billion 387,726 shillings out of the consolidated fund and applied it towards the supply granted for the service of the year ending 30th June 2021. Honorable Speaker, the justification is simple because it's a structural correction to ensure that the figure reflected here corresponds to what is reflected in Treasury warrant. The original figure on the bill was a net, including both recurrent and reductions, but the new figure being proposed, Honorable Speaker, in this amendment is a gross total increment. So it's basically a structural correction.
Honorable members, I propose a question that the schedule be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Yes, let's have Honorable Makari. Akari, then we will put the question. Honorable Makari.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Chairman, I don't know whether I heard the chairman right, but the chairman is moving the amendment for clause 2, not schedule. I think if we go that, we might be getting it wrong. So can he clarify whether he has moved the amendment for the schedule or clause 2?
Honorable Chair, just for record, that we are dealing with the first schedule.
So mine is on clause 2.
No, honorable member, we will come to clause 2. We are on the first schedule. Chair, just take your time. It's okay. It's okay to consult and refer you to your papers then so that we do the right thing. No, let's have the chair. There is nothing on the floor until the chair moves the amendments in the right form. Yeah, just consult. It's okay, Chair. Just consult and...
I think I had done it the other way around. Honorable Speaker, on the first schedule, is that the first schedule be amended as follows. R1173, that is State Department for Cooperatives, that is a program, by deleting the figure in respect to supply of Kenya shilling 80 million and substituting thereof with a figure of 60 million. 2, by 81,300,000 and substituting thereof with a figure of 161,300,000. By effect, the consequential amendment in the relevant class subtotal, Honorable Speaker, and the justification, Honorable Speaker.
From recurrent to development, knowing that we have human crisis even in development. Can you also enlighten us what programs or what positions are you destroying when you're moving that 20 million? That's kind of detail help us to move this quickly.
Honorable Chair, can you take a minute, then we make progress.
Easy, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair, this is basically funds that were going to Kenya National Trading.
Opinion say aye. With as many as of the contrary, opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Second schedule.
Honorable members, I propose a question that the second schedule be the schedule of the bill. We have no amendment to it. I therefore put the question that the second schedule be the schedule of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, now let's revisit clause 2.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I beg to move that the bill be amended by deleting clause 2 and substituting therefore with the following new clause. That is that the Treasury may issue out of a sum of Kenya shilling 20,866,387,766 shillings out of the consolidated fund and applied towards the supply granted for the service of the year ending 30th June of 2021. And Honorable Speaker, this is more of a structural correction to ensure that the figures reflected here correspond to what is reflected in the Treasury warrant. The original figure of the bill was a net total, including both increment and reductions. But the new figure, Honorable Chair, will be being proposed in this amendment.
As of that opinion say aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
Honorable members, I propose a question that the title be the title of the bill. We have no amendment to it. I therefore put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose a question that clause 1 be part of the bill. We have no amendment to it. I therefore put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, we are done with that bill. Mover.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair,
I opinion say aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Honorable members, Mr. Speaker.
Will have the chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I do second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said.
move that the Supplementary Appropriations Bill number 2 of National Assembly, number 33 of 2021, be now read a third time. I also request Honorable Jimmy Angwen to second.
The Father of the House.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to second.
Very well done. Honorable members, then allow me to propose the question, which is that the Supplementary Appropriation Bill number 2, National Assembly Bill 3 of 2021 be now read a third time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of our contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to authorize the issue of certain sums of money out of the consolidated fund and the application towards the service of the year ending on 30th June 2021 and to appropriate those sums for certain public services and purposes.
Very well, that job is done.
And also the item order number 12, the Wakfu bill, which will be coming under order number 12, I would also ask that we step it down for now, and so that we move straight from here to order number 13.
The leader,
if
leader
you
majority,
so indulge.
leader majority, just move one item at a time. One at a time.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to seek the indulgence of the House that we step down in the Committee of the Whole House, the Public-Private Partnerships Bill, Bill number 6 of 2021 for...
The leader majority have acceded to your request, and the business that is... Leader majority?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would wish to also seek your indulgence, the indulgence of the House, that I step down the moving of the Wakfu Bill, National Assembly Bill number 73 of 2019, because there is some members I would like to be here to contribute to this who are very...
The Honorable Member for Suba North. Let's just hear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm a little concerned about the reasons that the majority leader is giving for stepping down the Wakf bill, that there are members who have special interest in it. I am a member who has also very special interest in it. That's why I'm here. I can even give you some of my points which I've raised here, Mr. Speaker, issues which I think might also be unconstitutional unless they relate to personal law. So why would you then consider that some people have more special interest in a bill than others? Mr. Speaker, If there's any other reason, maybe that is not prepared.
Business is a business of the leader of majority. He can request to step it down at any time. And he has done so. And I'm going to accede to his request. So the business that is listed as on the order paper as number 12 is taken out of the order paper for the day.
His reason is wrong.
Next business, next.
Order number 13, the County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2018, second reading.
The chairperson, Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security.
Number 13 of 2018 was read for the first time on Wednesday, 24th April 2019.
Just hold on, the member for
Kaluma. He is pointing at us with the chest, Honorable Speaker. He is the member in order to dress in that particular manner, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Kaluma. The Honorable Kaluma. Honorable Kaluma, you are properly dressed. Please resume your seat.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, allow me to take this again because of that slight interruption. In stating that the County Government Amendment Bill, Senate number 13 of 2012 was read for the first time, Honorable Speaker, on Wednesday, 24th April 2019, and subsequently committed to the committee pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders number 127.1 and report to this House. The committee, therefore, Honorable Speaker, considered the County Government Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2018, in its sitting held on Friday, 16th August 2019, and adopted its report on Thursday, the 5th September 2019. Honorable Speaker, the principal object of this bill is to amend Section 58 of the county or at any meeting of the board. C, to obligate the governor to observe constitutional principles in nominating or appointing persons as members of the board. And finally, D, to provide for additional stipulations and requirements for one to be eligible to serve as a chairperson, such as be registered as a human resource management official and have at least 10 years working experience. Honorable Speaker, the committee noted the following where there is advertisement on such a position. Honorable Speaker, we also observed that there is need to provide for the qualifications of the Secretary of the Board in order to curb values and principles are set out to include qualifications of a Vice Chairperson with that of a Chairperson. The reason being, Honorable Speaker, that a Vice Chairperson is to carry out the same duties as the Chairperson in the absence of the same. And that means if you have somebody of less qualifications, then you are not managerial positions who necessarily don't have to be human resource management professionals as a qualification. And therefore, the committee observed that that is not necessary by virtue of being in managerial positions. Some of those amendments that are tailor-making these positions to a certain cadre.
And Honorable Speaker, as you can see, this is a Senate bill. So the people who originated this bill is the Senate. And the main object was actually to streamline the operations of the county service boards. Honorable Speaker, we know these boards are playing a very key role at the county level. They oversee all the recruitment at that level. And on that basis, it is important that we get the right people to manage the boards. So some of the amendments, Honorable Speaker, as my chair said, is the issue of the secretary to the board, where we are saying that the Senate is proposing that this must be a professional who has the certified secretary qualification. And Honorable Speaker, advantage. Then we would say A bachelor's degree is required, Honorable Speaker, but if you have a master's degree, then there's an added advantage. Honorable Speaker, the other important point in this matter is the issue of voting. And I think the bill clearly is saying that the secretary will have no voting right, so that when it comes to making decisions, then he should not participate in the voting. And to me, I think this is just generally one of the best international practices. So just like as the Speaker says, when the Speaker says he has no voting, for me, people are just not going to add value to this board. And I think what is happening, Honorable Speaker, is we legislate. Some of the bills we keep on repeating that whatever appointment is going to take place, it will take care of the gender, the disabled, and all those other mandates to that too, because that will take, then automatically we'll have disagreed with the Senate, and there will be need for a mediation committee. But to me, I don't see any problem with that so long as we get a law which can serve the county service boards in the most effective manner and in the most efficient manner.
And from the onset, Honorable Speaker, I really do support the committee led by my former chairman, Honorable Peter Mwadhi. Honorable Speaker, because they have done a thorough job, and I'm sure Honorable Mwadhi, Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, as the chairman has alluded to, that we will bring amendment in the committee of the whole house, Honorable Speaker, because apart from what they are saying in Article 1B, Article 1B, take into account the national values and principles set out in Article 10(27) of the Constitution, and also the issue of gender balance and regional balance, Honorable Speaker, we need to bring the caption of inclusion of persons with disability, as Honorable Makali Mulu have indicated, so that we bring in so many Kenyans who are more qualified that opportunity, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as we go towards our 10 years mark of devolution, we have to review what have worked and what have not worked, Honorable Speaker. And the Senate, the report of the County Government Amendment Bill of 2018 set a government official and have at least 10 years working experience in a managerial position. This bill, Honorable Speaker, want to amend, and that is where we normally have conflict within the board, Honorable Speaker, that will go out and bring a lot of problems within the management of county government. Honorable Speaker, this report, as per what I have seen, is that it have bid
government board, because this is a board which is in charge of employing people in the county governments. And the board needs to be very qualified, and that's why we are saying that we should have continuous improvement. And this bill has come at the right time to show that who have been proposed to be appointed in these boards who are not qualified, so that the governors can have control of the board. And if they have control over the board, then that means the governance will not be the right one. So represented in this board, and so that actually if we have the right people, then the governors will not take advantage of the boards.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, for giving me this chance to contribute to this. And Honorable Chair, let me on the onslaught correct nominee 001, because he said there are only 3 people who are wazee wa Muthegi, and I want to let him know that I am one of them, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this particular bill is a very simple bill, yet very important, Honorable Speaker, because if we really want to succeed in the area of devolution, we must professionalize all areas to ensure that we do not place human resource under the carpet, Honorable Speaker. And I say this because we know that when it comes to appointment out there, basically equivalent to the commissioners that we have nationally. And it is therefore very important that these members of the board have a sense of human resource as a skill for them to be able to execute their mandate as stated, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, by requiring that the chair and the vice chair to have at least a minimum of a bachelor's degree, and also to be of the human resource profession, Honorable Speaker, we're simply saying that these service members will now be able to select the right people in the various categories of the county governments for the county governments to execute their mandates in the right way. We are also saying that we no longer give the county governors the leeway of using political support as a way of rewarding their people. If they do so, let them do so in the professional manner by praising the right people in these service boards. We also hope and believe that the Public Service Commission is working very closely with these service boards, and I'm aware of that, Honorable Speaker, having been a member of the Committee on Administration and National Security, that the Public Service Commission has been working very closely with the service boards to ensure that they have the right capacity. And we need to also continue looking at other categories of the county government's, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that they have the right skills to execute the mandate that is out there. We do know, Honorable Speaker, that the replication of the national government to the county government has been moving forward. But because of the lack of capacity at the county government level, Honorable Speaker, we find that some of the mandates that being undertaken by the county government is either going slow or not being executed in the right way. We therefore urge that there be a mirror and an exchange of skills between the national government, may it be in the area of public works especially, so that we can also build capacity of the public works officers in the county government so that they can also be able to execute as much. And so this is just a beginning, Honorable Speaker, and I hope that this bill will serve as an example of what needs to be done with the other levels of the county government. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I support this bill. Thank you.
Honorable Odhiambo Akoth, member for Suba North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support, but even as I support, I just wanted to comment some of one or two things that are of concern to me. Mr. Speaker, if you look at clause 2, clause 2A, subclause Roman 2, and further A, where it says that in nominating or appointing a person as a member of the board, the governor shall observe the principle of gender equity, ethnic and other diversity, and which is actually a factor that also recognized in the National Cohesion and Integration Act, which I see is actually the next bill that is coming up actually for overhaul. So I don't know whether that would then change the framework or the legislative framework. But if it doesn't, then it's actually one of the areas where that constitutional provision is sometimes allowed, that they may not provide totally for the ethnic inclusion that we seek. If you go to Kiambu County, for instance, most of the offices you walk in, you'll probably speak in Kikuyu. Similarly, if you go to Homa Bay County, most of the offices, if you go, you'll probably speak in Kijaluo. So, Mr. Speaker, perhaps what I'm hoping is that the new bill that is coming that will be replacing the National Cohesion and Integration Act will look very carefully at the issue of integration of other ethnic communities so that devolution should not serve to increase ethnic divisions in the country or to create ethnic enclaves in the country, but to make sure that very specific counties have the face of Kenya. There's really no excuse why, for instance, Kiambu should not have people from Homa Bay County and vice versa. Mr. Speaker, The other issue that I would want to speak to is I'm calling on the committee, and if they don't, hopefully myself, Mr. Speaker, because of also the other issues of ethnic diversities within the counties, that you need to add the issue of ethnic minorities, so that you say that they shall provide an equal opportunity for persons with disabilities and ethnic minorities. Why do I say that, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I say that because you find that in a lot of, it's good that actually in this bill they're providing for for persons with disabilities. But you find in a situation like a place like Migori, for instance, if you don't check out very carefully, all 4 were removed and none were replaced by Subas, Mr. Speaker. And as an ethnic minority, if that is not entrenched in the law, then you'll discover that there are areas or certain communities that will be left out. Mr. Speaker, it's a good thing that there is provision for academic qualifications. And in subclause B, it says section 3, by deleting paragraph C and substituting with the following: in the case of the chairperson, possess a minimum of a bachelor's degree from a university recognized in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, even though this sounds like a good provision, my only concern is how consistent is it with the current debate that is going on, where we are saying it is on issues of principle. If we don't need a degree, what are they going to discuss that is much greater than what MPs can be discussing in this House? Mr. Speaker, having said that, I also want to indicate, Mr. Speaker, I just want to indicate that even as I'm speaking, my dear sister, Honorable Eve Obara, is telling me that is not correct, and I actually have the bill. She doesn't have. And the bill is saying very clearly, possess a minimum of a bachelor's degree from a university recognized in Kenya. And the other issue, which is very clear, is that under, it is in record in this House that people have called for the lowering of a degree to degree certificate.
Honorable Accord, what is out of order, Honorable Ching?
Mr. Speaker, I thought I'm Ochieng.
It's a member for Migori.
Yes.
Are you a member for Migori? She is a member for Migori.
A ranking member, and I am aware that as far way back as 2013, this House passed actually that MPs should have at least a degree. So the debate that is going on out there, I don't think it is right to make a point of reference when we are talking about chairs or boards or members of those boards having a certain qualification. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I must have missed that, Honorable Miri. What's the issue?
Yes, Chair, I can actually respond, and I want to congratulate Honorable Dr. Pamela Odhiambo, that I can see she's really doing well for a person who is new. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the reason that I am saying this was taken, I do support, but I will bring certain amendments. Thank you.
Honorable Adagala Kahai, member for Vihiga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I had I wanted to inquire exactly what Honorable Millie Odhiambo has just clarified here. I think it will be discriminatory to the women, the way she has said. I think I will be ready to talk to another on the next one, yes.
The next business.
Thank you.
That's fine. We shall go to the next person online to my right, Honorable Angwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the bill by the Committee on Administration, especially, Honorable Speaker, looking at the bill, and the bill as talking to the issues of succession. Honorable Speaker, this bill is addressing the issue, the worry that the public has in terms of when a new governor comes in, this staff will go and the other one will remain. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, that fear, by making the County Public Service Board a very strong board, independent, professional, is going to give confidence to the voters, Honorable Speaker, such that their county shall have a life after a particular governor. Honorable Speaker, in this House, there are various candidates for governorship, and I feel this should be good news to them, that, Honorable Speaker, they are going to only but absorb professionals who will run the county government on a going concern basis, and they are going to mirror what is happening in the national government. National government, Honorable Speaker, presidents come and go, leadership come and go, but offices and institutions remain intact, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this bill tends to share the county resources in terms of distribution of appointments with respect to the board itself, as in the gender, persons with a disability, ethnicity, on those principles, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, without this provision, county number 001 or member number 001 could not be in this House, Honorable Speaker. But now they are here, he's here, and is one of the key people who are contributing very well in this House, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, it's important we recognize are likely to end up in one particular section of the county, whereby, for instance, Honorable Speaker, you find the deputy governor could come from the same area, the Treasury CAC comes from the same area. You find, Honorable Speaker, all the appointments. But this board now is going to look at issues of appointment in terms of distribution of those resources, Honorable Speaker. That is a good thing, and I would want to support it, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the issue of disparities in terms of remuneration to the staff, Honorable Speaker, it becomes at the mercy of the governor to consider whom to employ for what. And I want to be very clear, Honorable Speaker. Some counties, Honorable Speaker, have appointed officers who are actually in charge of prayer. In terms of engagement and remuneration to public service workers, Honorable Speaker, is going to be a good thing. Let us separate, Honorable Speaker, with this board coming on board, is going to separate politics from work. We want, Honorable Speaker, after we've done the politicking and we have been elected, we now come down and work. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, the element and the line of human resource shall all be left for the board to make sure that it guides the new governor, who will now have to run his affairs using the right staff, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, also good in this is to remove the qualification of the board chair to be a certified public secretary of good professional standing, Honorable Speaker, a secretary of good public standing, Honorable Speaker. I feel the inclusion of a degree is a good thing. And Honorable Speaker, it's not just an issue of a degree, but Honorable Speaker, it gives leeway on the kind of professionals to be picked upon in terms of hiring for this position, Honorable Speaker. Elected from various constituencies, but have been elevated, Honorable Speaker. It's a good thing that, Honorable Speaker, it will just be a conglomeration of equals, but one has to lead the other. Therefore, it's good that now a vice chair just has the same qualification as those of members without necessarily, Honorable Speaker, undue application to the person who will hold that office. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, considering all this, I feel this is a good bill. We should support it so that, Honorable Speaker, county governments should run forward. They have really done well for the last 10 years. They have struggled, yes, they were in the inaugural stages, but way forward, Honorable Speaker, as they mature in terms of financial management and administration, let them also now mature and come out of human resource processes, which will now enable the county governments to run forward. Let them endeavor to separate politics from administration, and, Honorable Speaker, we wish to see that our county governments work.
Mr. Speaker, the core function of the County Public Service Board is human resource. This is a body that is in charge, Mr. Speaker, of hiring and firing staff. It is indeed a staffing function. And it's very important, Mr. Speaker, that you must get someone, at least with human resource management expertise. It is good the proposal has been put in place that you must have a degree from a recognized university. A degree in what? As we speak right now, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the academic bachelors now, it's when we are having emerging degrees coming up in human resource management. We've not had this discipline before, Mr. Speaker. So I don't find myself comfortable, Mr. Speaker, when you come and say that the county secretary does not need to be a member of the Human Resource Management Institute. Mr. Speaker, we've seen many jurisdictions or maybe functions when you want a lawyer. You want a lawyer who is a member of the law side of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Somebody on a click of a button, you will be able to know the qualification, the membership, and whether it's of good standing. The secretary of the board, Mr. Speaker, is the CEO of the board. I find it very frustrating, Mr. Speaker, for the chairman to come here and tell us the recruitment and the hiring and firing of the staff at the county level. We must embrace professionalism. And I'll bring an amendment at the committee of the whole house that this secretary must be a member of the institute. Why? Why? We've had a lot of county staff having problems because of issue of hiring people who do not have the matching skills as far as their job description is concerned. As to move forward, Mr. Speaker, it's important, and SRC, wherever they are, should be listening, that we must have job evaluations. We should have job evaluations, Mr. Speaker, even at the county level. Job evaluation is there to be able to evaluate jobs, not people. But as Speaker, who is a lawyer, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to matters of interpretation, it makes a difference. You are seated here because you are a lawyer, Mr. Speaker. When there's an issue of constitutionality, because our standing orders are clear on matters of constitutionality, you can raise it at any time of the debate. You can be able to read the Constitution and interpret. That is the extra skill that you have. So it is indeed important, if you want to embrace professionalism in the county governments, it is indeed important that the secretary must be a member of the Institute of the Human Resource Management. There are so many models, Mr. Speaker, as I move forward.
Order, Honorable Mala.
I'll bring it an amendment.
Order, Mala. What is it, Honorable Mwali? What is out of order?
Honorable Speaker, I've been listening to Honorable Chris, and what he's alluding is that it is wrong for me to come and state a position.
No.
That is what he has said, and Hansard will bear me witness. And I wonder how right he is to impose on us what it is that the committee has also decided. If it is the committee that has done the work, say you will bring amendment. Honorable Speaker, I can't say I'm wrong to bring the committee's position, which we have discussed. But if he has issues with it, he can only bring it under amendment, but not to say I'm wrong. I cannot be wrong to state what my committee has decided.
Honorable Madi and Honorable Marwa, you know both are veterans in this parliament. So when the veterans crashed in that manner, what will Honorable Sanko do? But Honorable Marwa.
Mr. Speaker, I never said it's wrong. These are semantics, Mr. Speaker. And you must know that that committee report can come here and this House can reject it. I want it to be very clear, Mr. Speaker. On this floor of the House, if a committee has not done thorough work, this House has veto powers. It can reject. So it does not necessarily mean that as a committee chair, you bring a report here that this House is obligated to follow that report. It must be convincing. And in the scholarly world, if you go and read more about human resource management, there are new models like balanced scorecard, which are used in performance management. Somebody from nowhere and is coming to use it. Things like performance appraisal. These are issues that are very critical in management of any staff. So you need somebody who has an expertise when it comes to job recruitments, performance appraisal, and the rewards. And because of the mess that we've been having in counties, that's why, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying we support that you should have a professional who should be a technical advisor on matters of human resource function. But I never said you are wrong, Mr. Speaker, though the performance of a committee has a positive correlation on the chairman. It is true. it has a positive correlation when it comes to performance. So if your report comes here and this committee or this floor rejects, it actually reflects badly on the chairman. So you can see we're responding to the issues that were raised on the floor of the House, which are very fundamental. That's why when you are told to respond, that call upon the mover to respond, you are supposed to respond on the issues that have been raised by members on this floor of the House during the debate. I think some members need some orientation, Mr. Speaker, so that we know specifically on that aspect. Mr. Speaker, as we move forward, why we debate to improve. We don't debate here. We don't come here to please people. We come here as a team to be able to debate and improve the issue.
It is fair to ask what is out of order from Honorable Mwadi. And it is not a crossfire.
It's not a crossfire.
What is out of order?
It's not a crossfire, but I'm listening to what Honorable Chris, with all due respect, is saying. And now he has shifted from the Committee on Administration and National Security.
Respond to them, Mr. Speaker, as we move forward. The gender. It is very critical. Speaker, that some things are under Article 10 and Article 27, they don't need to be entrenched. And I agree with Honorable Milo Odhiambo. In some scenarios, Mr. Speaker, it is important to entrench these things in this law because they can be abused, Mr. Speaker, particularly in counties where we have people who are marginalized. It is important that it must be entrenched in the law so that at that particular time, it must be followed to the letter. How many people refer to Article 10, which talks about the core values and the principles of governance?
Your space is gone.
Ni vizuri tuwe na wafanyikazi wa county ambao wana stakabadhi zinazohitajika. Tunaona mambo mengi county zingine yanafanyika kiholela holela, hayafanyiki vizuri. Tukipata yule ana hizi qualifications zote hapa na zikifuatwa from kuanzia huyo CEO na hao wengine wote zichukuliwe hizi sheria zimeandikwa hapa, itasaidia sana. Kwa sababu utaona mara nyingine kama kwa mfano sahihi kuna county ambao zimepata pesa nyingi, wafaa wazitumie wazimalize na ni mkopo wa serikali kutoka kwa World Bank, lakini utaona kwa sababu sijui ni wale walioko hawana zile qualification au ni uzembe, utaona zile kazi hazifanyiki vizuri. Sengine mtu anaweza kuwa na qualification hizo zinazohitajika lakini pia akawa pia hafanyi kazi vizuri. So utaona sahihi kama sasa wakati huu kumepewa pesa kama Lamu imepewa pesa nyingi na World Bank, lakini utaona kwa county zimebakia pesa zaidi ya milioni 300 ambazo hazijatumika na watu wana njaa. Hata utashangaa pesa kama hizo kama lipewa women rep zingekuwa zimetumika vizuri sana kwa vikundi. Ile mradi unaitwa Climate Smart. Imagine mwezi unaokuja ndio mwisho, hiyo pesa itabidi regeshwe na serikali ya Kenya inalipa loan. So tukipata wafanyikazi ambao wana qualification na wanaweza kufanya kazi vizuri, wana hizo zote qualities zilizoko hapa, integrity, na waeke watu wa kutoka jamii mbalimbali. Wodi zote mfano kila wodi ipate nafasi yake. Wale walemavu pia wapate nafasi yao, youth, kina mama. Naona kutakuwa itaweza kusaidia sana. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Honorable Oduol Adhiambo. Okay, if not, then Honorable Member for Migori.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. With your permission, can I remove this thing a bit? Okay.
No, you may not remove.
Most obliged, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving us like that. And I think as somebody who just left the university the other day and has had the opportunity to train all sorts of human resource, beginning with accountants and business people, procurement officers, and human resource, I think it is a very, very interesting and important amendment that we are discussing here this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, I want to support this amendment from the very onset. However, I would plead with the committee and even all of us to give constructive contributions that can make that amendment even better. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the reasons why Kenya had to bring in devolution, it was to bring development and services everywhere equally within the boundaries of our country, Kenya. But Mr. Speaker, the sad news is we are almost 10 years down the line of devolution, and still when you go to some parts of this country, you can classify Kenya into 5 Kenyans. There is Kenya 1, Kenya 2, Kenya 3, Kenya 4, and even Kenya 5 in terms of infrastructure and facilities that are to be availed to our people. And that makes me want this bill to go a little more. In fact, I think even this bill should be amended to include how political parties even settle on their presidential and gubernatorial candidates. Because in this one person, beginning with the president, but now we are discussing the governor, this guy should be a leader. Somebody who is capable of taking serious risks. This person should be a manager, somebody who can implement and even follow up to wonder whether what is being implemented is being achieved. And also a politician, for that matter, to know the right buttons that must be pushed and punched so that things happen. Mr. Speaker, in my opinion, that section of the clause 2, I think we should agree that the chair of this board should not only be a highly qualified person in human resource issues, but somebody who also has experience. There are things that we teach in class, but there are things that managers get to know when they are already at work. The deputy should be highly qualified as well, and more so the state of the county and the services to the people delivered on time. Mr. Speaker, the Public Service Board is actually the replica of the Public Service, the County Service Board is a replica of the Public Service Commission of Kenya and at the county level. And this is something that is important. When we are looking for the chair of the Public Service Board of Commission of Kenya, we get professionals, people who have had first-hand experience on positions of management. So are the members of that board. I think this is something that we can replicate in the counties without fear or favor. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that this service board should not be the only appointing position that we are talking about as far as the governor is concerned, but all those other appointing posts. For example, you find in a hospital, they are struggling to build a maternity wing, for example. And then a village administrator, you know, from the sub-county administrator to the ward, there is a village administrator. This person is then appointed to supervise that kind of work. Mr. Speaker, these are some of the things that are frustrating our development agenda at the county. And Mr. Speaker, I am just amazed, and I hope somebody will not misunderstand me. As I stand here, that debate that is going on out there about the MPs having degrees or not, it is a very tricky one. And in this very house, we have talked and discussed, Mr. Speaker, how in Kenya today, we are churning out so many graduates from the universities, and all these guys are jobless. Now, when we stand here again, and we say that even if we want women with degrees, I don't think this is accurate, that we will not get women with degrees in the current Kenya in some of our villages. Like from Migori County, which I represent, I know, Mr. Speaker, if you gave me a chance, 2 days from today, I can appear with a list of girls who have graduated from universities, and they are still tamarking. They don't have jobs. So I am struggling to get the balance between playing to the gallery so that we can get votes outside there and talking facts as they are on the file. So I think what I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that I totally support this bill, this amendment, and I wish it could have even come earlier in 2018 or even 2015, because this is what has killed our counties. This is what has made some of those county roads, if you go there, you'll find somebody just removing the grass and the shrubs and then shaping the soil, the road is made. When the wind comes, the soil is blown away. When the rain comes, there are potholes. Mr. Speaker, it is a pathetic situation in some of our, especially rural counties, which are raw in terms of development. So I think, Mr. Speaker, we can borrow, as I conclude, at the university where I think I have a lot of experience, there is this regulation that they have, especially when admitting students to the university. There is the overall mark qualification that of attainment, academic attainment, that a child must score. For example, as at now in Kenya, it is standing at, I think, C+. But then, as you admit these children to various courses, medicine, architecture, engineering, education, business, which I represent here, then there are what we call subject clusters, some other requirements that they must meet in certain subjects. I think, Mr. Speaker, borrowing this, I would ask my committee to not rush this bill just because it came from the Senate, but we can add and make it better so that by the time it is leaving our hands here, Mr. Speaker, we have a bill that can make sure that the dreamers of devolution, actually, if I know most of them led by Raila Amolo Odinga, are still alive, can finally one day rest in peace with their forefathers when they are smiling because they have attained a Kenya where we not only have Thika superhighway containing all those vehicles and others flying above all other, but when we go to Turkana, we get the same roads. When you come to Migori at the border, you get the same roads, the same hospitals, the same facilities, the same parliament, and everything is the same the way they have done in America. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I support.
Honorable Cheriot, Jesire, member for Baringo.
Mr. Speaker, I request for your protection. Some people here are harassing me before I talk, but
You have the floor, don't worry, don't even listen to
please, your protection is needed, especially from nominee 001.
You proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Sankoku, do you know harm?
He doesn't know me. Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for giving me this chance to also discuss this matter or this bill in the House together with my colleagues. And on the onset, Mr. Speaker, I think the amendment is good, despite the fact that there are a few things that need to be looked at, that many members have really discussed. And Mr. Speaker, I think for me, this bill has come in such a time that it seems even to be late, because we've been keeping questions, especially even me, on how things are being transacted down there in our counties. And it is high time, Mr. Speaker, that we really go and check on what is happening through bills and other methods that we can use. Mr. Speaker, I am one person whom have been asking the national government. We know when devolution came, county government were given the right to employ. But for a long time, Mr. Speaker, it hasn't been anything that people were happy about. The reason is this, Mr. Speaker. We have seen a lot of ethnicity where at the county service board, people are employing people of some certain tribes, rewarding political friends, and leaving professionalism aside. Mr. Speaker, I know when we talk about professionalism, my colleague, Honorable Chris Wamalo, was so particular about human resource person to be given to be the secretary. I also want to be told, if at the Parliament, at the Public Service Commission, is it a replica of the same, or we are reinventing the wheel for the county governments? Because if at the national government, we have given a secretary with no specific technical or skillful qualification. Why would we fix so much for the county governments? But even having said that, I want to support the women rep or the county MP for Migori and say the minimum qualification for these positions should be a degree. And having said that is because, Mr. Speaker, we don't lack the people who have these qualifications. If it is degree, currently, we have so many degrees are flooded in this country. We have many people who have degrees, and we have no short, should not be a discussion that we are asking for minimum qualifications to be basically a degree in any qualification. Mr. Speaker, when I wanted to discuss about ethnicity, Mr. Speaker, it is very unfortunate that even though the Constitution is very clear on these matters, the fact remains that devolution is, to me, equated to Majimbo in the way things are happening there in terms of employment. That when you go to a certain county, and I want to give, for example, my county so that I'm not attacking anybody, you might find there that everyone who is employed in that county is a Kalenjin, for example. And I tend to believe this is what is happening elsewhere. How is this bill going to treat this? Because we have also the Kamaus who are born in Baringo. We have the Onyangos who are born in Baringo. We have also the Mohammeds and many other communities. How is this bill going to treat this? Mr. Speaker, the other matter is that it's high time as a country or as a government, we realize that county government has a perpetual life. And it doesn't end with a governor who is sitting and has been voted out. In this reason, Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether for those ones who are lawyers in this house, though coming to this house also you should be a lawmaker, I want to give a suggestion and think that there should be a trustee for the county governments to really, I didn't know which body, to really take care of the resources that are left by a governor who is voted out. Because being voted out as a politician, what happens, Mr. Speaker, is that after you've been voted out, the projects you started remain there. They are never completed. They will remain to be white elephants. And the governor who is incoming really ran away from those projects. And eventually, it is a great loss to this country. It is a great loss to development. Mr. Speaker, the other big issue is wage bill. The wage bill in our counties is overriding the development. What is happening, Mr. Speaker, is that every governor who comes in wants, are we going to attain development? It is a big matter that actually we need to address. Mr. Speaker, I have also underlined something that happened in some of the counties, that when the term of a particular office of the County Service Board ends, it takes quite some time for the governor to appoint another board. It delays development. Some counties, Mr. Speaker, took as long as even 1 year. What does the Constitution say? How is it treated? Within which time should it be replaced? These are some of the things we need to look at so that, Mr. Speaker, our counties develop, eventually our country grows. I want to agree with members, Mr. Speaker, but that the autonomy that is given to the county governments should not actually result into the governors or the county officers misusing that autonomy and doing things that are actually please them, and Mr. Speaker, not running the county in a manner that can realize development because eventually that is the main goal. Mr. Speaker, in terms of special groups, I know, Mr. Speaker, special groups is a dire need. But the truth of the matter, Mr. Speaker, you look at a county service board at large. There's no person living with disability, even one. We want to bring the grouping and see. Mr. Speaker, we have also other groups that we need to look at going forward. The widows and the widowers. I'm going to introduce that. There are also special groups, Mr. Speaker. And so, Mr. Speaker, I really support this, but also I support my members that we'll need to look at amendments of this bill so that we can come up with something that is going to work for us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Passaris Rosana, member for Nairobi City. Honorable Jude Jomo, give Honorable Passaris the space. And
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand to support the county government's amendment bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2018.
Order, Honorable Passaris. What is out of order, Honorable Didi?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm just wondering whether Honorable Jomo is in order to sit where he's seated, yet the seats are labeled very correctly where the members should sit, Mr. Speaker. And I think we should take the protocols very seriously and lead by example.
I have always known Honorable Jude Jomo to be an extremely careful member, but on this one, he is not. I'm sure honorable member who is on the floor will be let me not say what I want to say, but Honorable Jude Jomo, please sit in the right place. Sit in the right place. You do not have to say anything on this one. There is no jealousy here. Honorable Passaris, you have the floor. Let Honorable Jude Jomo sit in the right place.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Now, being dyslexic and ADHD, when I have all this confusion, I lose my chain of thought, but I'll try and do the best that I can. So I stand to support the County Government Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2018, for the simple reason that this country has seen that ethnic divisions have actually torn us apart and have not let us live to the dreams of our forefathers in terms of what this nationhood would mean for Kenya. And I think this is what informed the president when he decided to have a handshake and unite the country so that we could all be one nation. The county governments, hearing and knowing that county governments employ people from their own region is wrong. We need to have a situation where every county is compelled to at least employ people from other ethnic communities from across the country, at least 30%. We have to put a figure to it. We cannot say just leave it open-ended, so that you know that if you're in the county of Kisii, you are able to employ people from all over the country. You're also able to employ people of both genders.
Honorable Passaris, there is a point of order from Honorable Gatia Savula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to correct my colleague here, the Women Rep Nairobi, that we have the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. Is that a point of
information, Honorable Gatia?
Point of information, sorry, Mr. Speaker.
To who?
For point information.
To Honorable 30%. Order, Honorable Ngatia. We must ask Honorable Passaris whether she accepts your information. What, Honorable Passaris, do you want to be informed by Honorable Ngatia?
No, there's a law.
Order, Honorable.
Yes.
Accept, then I give you the
Honorable Passaris, you want to be informed?
No. Mr. Speaker.
Unfortunately, Honorable Ngatia, your information is not needed by Honorable Passaris.
Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, with due respect to my honorable colleague here, at the end of the day, as long as we do not have, we have the national cohesion, yes, I agree, and we might have laws and regulations on how we interact as countries and as counties, but at the end of the day, if we don't have the budgets to ensure proper monitoring and evaluation to look at who is being employed in every county, we cannot say that we've got ethnic inclusion. We know that if you go and you look at all the governors in all the counties, they all come from the communities in the counties that they represent. If we had proper ethnic inclusion, then you would find a governor, for instance, you would find a Kikuyu in Nyanza, you would find a Luo in Mount Kenya region, because that is when we say ethnic inclusion. You vote a leader because they live in your communities. We've seen for instance, 1 or 2 MPs that have been given positions in government, but not many. We need to ensure that Kenyans look at leaders not because of their communities, because the leaders are good leaders. And in the county assemblies, we need to ensure that integration and inclusion is actually monitored and evaluated, so that we look at not only ethnic inclusion, we also look at gender. So we want to aim at not more than 1/3 of one gender. Is it being adhered to in the counties? Obviously, that's not there. We need 10% of disability. Is that also being adhered to by the counties? So this amendment should also look at ensuring that there is a way to monitor and evaluate and bring the counties that are not actually doing the right thing in terms of inclusion and the spread of the communities. There should be a penalty that should be paid. And they should be actually told that these particular jobs, you have more men, you need more women. You have no disability. Because we've got a lot of people who are disabled and they're not able to get jobs. Who is monitoring and evaluation? And for that to happen, you need budgets to be put in there. So much as we support the amendment and we say that it's a good thing, we also have to realize one of the biggest problems that we have in this country is corruption. And when you mix people together, it is very difficult to have corrupt tendencies. So the problem of inclusion will also help us deal with corruption. It will also help us deal with the respect of other communities. When we used to have nights like Kikuyu night or Kamba night or Masai night, we saw that there was so much to celebrate in terms of other communities. If we agree that we're going to work together, even in our places of work in the various counties, then we will respect each other's communities, respect each other's food. So I believe that this amendment is very good. But when it comes to the education, I think we have done an extension over and over. 2017, we said we give it more time. By 2022, I really support what Dr. Pamela Odhiambo says, that we've got so many Kenyans who have gone to university and they have studied, and they've got degrees and they are tamarking. Let us ensure that if you want to be a leader, you go for that degree. If we're saying that the chairman requires a degree, the MCA should have a degree, the MP should have a degree. It's not so difficult to get a degree. So if a leader is not actually able to follow the law that we ourselves said that we're going to extend till 2022, now we want further extensions. For me, the education grounds a leader, because you actually end up being able to expand your mind and expand your knowledge so that you can serve people better. So I believe that if we're going to have the chairmans having levels of education that we have, we've seen how county assemblies behave, how they throw tables and chairs around, how the debates end up in boxing matches. So if you're educated, you get a certain sense of etiquette because it's part of the education. And I think it's important that we support what we ourselves have said we want to stand for. So if they don't have degrees, then too bad. They can try for 2027. With that, Mr. Speaker, I stand to support. Thank you.
Yes. What is your point of order, Didi Nyoro?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I have been sitting here for quite some time, and I rise on Standing Order 95, Mr. Speaker, because I see we have exhaustively debated this bill, and we are now repeating ourselves. And I rise on Standing Order 95 that the mover be called upon to reply.
Well, other members, it is the right of the Honorable Didi Nyoro to stand on that point of order, but also it is my responsibility to establish the mood of the House on that particular matter. And therefore, honorable members, I will put the question that the mover be now called to reply. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays certainly have it. Honorable Shamara Jennifer.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. For a moment, I thought that maybe Honorable... It was ambitious, and the World Bank defined devolution as being one of the most rapid processes of decentralization to occur anywhere worldwide. Their own interest. over and above being an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, I am a certified public secretary, but I have no intention of applying for this particular position. We have in countries where specialization is key. You do not advertise for a Boeing pilot specialized in a 747 and ask for any kind of pilot. I think that when we get to the committee stage, this matter will be debated robustly, and I will request humbly that the chair and the committee consider the submissions made by myself and Honorable Wamalwa.
Honorable Bogo Menza, member for Kisauni. That member isn't there. The next is Honorable Agatia Safula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also add my voice on this County Government Amendment Bill of 2018. Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks to cure the non-professionalism that has existed in county government, especially at the county service board level. Mr. Speaker, the bill seeks to make the secretary of the board an ex-official. That means that the board will operate autonomously without the direct influence of a governor or a politician managing it, because the ex-official will not have the powers to participate in the voting or the decision of the board. In nominating or appointing a person as a member of the board, the governor shall consider the following qualities and principles. That is gender, equality, ethnicity, and I'll deal much on ethnicity. These bills seeks to cure the problem that have been existing in county government, especially in employment of workers, because the National Cohesion and Integration Commission Act is very specific that any government institution, be it a parastatal, a national government, or a county government, must have 30% of the employees from outside that community. But if you look at employment in county government, especially the CECs and the chief officers, the county government don't follow this act. Mr. Speaker, audits are normally done every year by a National Cohesion and Integration Commission. But we've not seen clear results that this act works. So this bill will actually enforce the issue of ethnicity in making the county government work and adhere to the 30% provision that the members of the workforce in that county must be from other ethnic communities. Mr. Speaker, I will also support the issue of the national values as contained in the Article 10, 27, and 232. In this essence, I'll also thank Honorable Millie. Honorable Millie and Martha Karua are the one who brought us the amendment to the National Cohesion and Integration Commission to meet these constitutional provisions. Thank you, Honorable Millie, sitting next to me. However, Mr. Speaker, I'll beg to support Honorable Shamala on the issue of possession of a bachelor's degree. It has to be specific. It has to be specific, not just any bachelor's degree. I'll also support Honorable Chris Wamalwa that the institution that is responsible for registering members of that profession must be included in these provisions. How do you leave it out? If it's a lawyer, must be Law Society of Kenya, accreditation body. If it's a doctor, there's a pharmacy, I think it's Pharmacy Council and Dentist Board, something like that. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, as we move forward, we are looking at younger generation taking over leadership of this.
Yes, Honorable Gatia.
I'm not interested in that information, Mr. Speaker.
But I thought the other time you wanted to inform Honorable Pasani.
No, I'm not interested in that information now, because mine was denied.
Proceed.
Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to emphasize on the issue of the 10 years working experience. If you talk about 10 years working experience, that's a very long term. Mr. Speaker, employees in this country at the level of CEOs are employed for a term of 3 years, renewable once more. That is a maximum of 6 years. When you talk about 10 years experience, these are old people. And the generation here in Kenya, even if you look at the CEOs who are operating now, the CEOs are between 36 to 46 years. So we'll be creating the chairmanship position specifically for the aged, and yet we want to employ the youth in the counties. I think I'll bring amendment to this. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and I support. Now you can give me your information.
Yes, well, that route, Honorable Pamela, you want to have is unknown. The route of informing the whole House. But, and then Honorable Gatia's space is gone, and he has concluded. Honorable members, I can tell quite a number of members who want to speak to this. The good news is that we are not concluding this now. There will still be another further opportunities for members to engage, because now it is 6:30 and the House must rise. Honorable members, the time being 6:30 p.m., this House starts adjourned until today, Tuesday, for the evening session, 29th June 2021 at 7 p.m.